The psalmist offers this invitation. Make a joyful noise, all the earth. Worship your God with gladness. Come into God's house with thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Are you glad? We do come into this place with thankfulness. We come into this place with gratitude. We come into this place with gratefulness, and indeed, I hope and trust, gratefulness. We gather in worship. We gather in this sacred and holy place together in this place, and through the gifts of technology, we are gathered and grounded in a spirit of thanksgiving. And indeed, we give thanks. It is good to be together, connected as we join our hearts and lives together on this day of Thanksgiving, as we give thanks for the gifts of creation and the gifts of Creator, the gift and gifts of our life, and indeed, all of our lives. It is good. And so as we do gather acknowledging that our gifts of creation are gifted to us, but long before they were gifted to our indigenous siblings. Our indigenous sisters and brothers have cared for this land and they have called it home. This territory has rich history, and it was and is this day considered sacred by many, many people. And so as we gather, we remember that we gather and work and assemble and worship and play on the lands that are the unceded, the ancestral, cultural, the traditional territories of the Algonquin Nation and the Mi'kmaq people. And so this day we continue to seek to live with respect in creation, in respect with one another and with all peoples, seeking always truth, reconciliation, and joy. As we gather together this morning, as always, I draw your attention to announcements that are in the bulletin and on the bulletin and in our orange insert. Please take a moment to mark the various dates and announcements on your calendar. Two particular announcements I want to draw your attention to. One is for next Sunday, which is named on our church calendar as World Food Sunday. Also this year, because of the falling of dates, it's the International Day for the Eradication of Poverty. And so these two markings come together. They are markings of our United Nations as a day to be intentional in reminding us about the food insecurity, the hunger issues that face so many in our community and indeed in our world. We do seek, as part of this congregation, to address issues of food insecurity, be it through our partnership with the Pictou Food Bank or the Seeds of Hope Community Garden and our grab-and-go lunch program and pantry program. So you'll notice the invitation next Sunday to be intentional as we seek to support the grab-and-go lunch and pantry program. And you'll see there's suggestions there for gifts that you can bring and offer next Sunday as we seek to be intentional in our care for those in our community who live with that daily reality of hunger, food insecurity, and poverty. So that is next Sunday. You'll also notice, I hope you've seen the announcements on Facebook and in my weekly emails about our Harvest Roast Beef Supper. The date's coming up quickly. It's October 23rd, and as with the changes due to COVID, we're unable to have in-house supper, but we will do a pickup, drive-through, and delivery Harvest Roast Beef Supper with all the trimmings, and the tickets are available. I see that Chris is here this morning and Mary McCullum at the back, so if you're interested in tickets, you can speak to them this morning or, as always, call the church office. So please, the deadline is next Sunday, so we can make sure we have our numbers, but our Harvest Roast Beef Supper. And then again, information that's there in your inserts. As we gather this morning, the gifts of creation surround us and fill us, but the gifts of music also enfold us on this day of Thanksgiving. And certainly want to extend a welcome to Angela once again for sharing gifts of music, and a welcome home to William. You hardly left and you're back with us, and that's good. It's good to have you with us, and look forward to the sharing of music this morning. Are there other announcements that need to be made as we gather this morning? I'm aware, with being away for a couple of weeks and then catching up with all of my Facebook notices, that there's been a number of birthdays that have happened in the last couple of weeks, and October seems to be a busy month for a birthday. So I noticed that Mark McKenzie had a birthday, and Jane Burris had a birthday, and Judy McDonald had a birthday, and Lyndon Grader Hardy had a birthday, and Will Gamble had a birthday, and Donna Collins and Stephen McKenzie are about to have a birthday, and Chris is about to have a birthday, and Carolyn's about to have a birthday. of birthdays in October. Other birthdays that I missed while I was away or missed in the last week? I also know there's birthdays upcoming, and someone else is having a birthday, and I don't know if she'll be in church before the birthday, but she's in church today. Does anyone know anyone who's having a birthday? It might be 4 years old. Clover, are you having a birthday coming up? Are you having a birthday? I can't see the smile behind the back, but Clover's also having a birthday. So we have lots of birthdays, lots to give thanks for. Happy birthday to everyone. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. It is good to celebrate. Good to make a joyful noise. Good to give thanks. The Feast of Thanksgiving has its roots in the Harvest Festival, a time, a day to celebrate the abundance of creation and all that fills our stomachs and our eyes and our lives with nourishment and with beauty. Gifts of Creator and gifts of creation. It's a season, a day, a time for us to be intentional. Intentional in our gratitude and our gratefulness. For the gift of this day, for the gift of this time of year, for the gifts of who we are. But in it all, we're also aware that in our Thanksgiving, there lies a paradox. For as we gather in worship, we're ever aware of those who are struggling this very day with isolation and fear and hunger and uncertainty and anxiety. Those of us who gather and those in our community and in our world. And so as we gather this day and as we move into a time of praise and prayer, we do that with a deepened commitment to live out our thanksgiving, to live out our gratefulness through our daily living, through our acts of care and compassion and kindness, to look at the world and to act differently, to act in goodness, to make the world a better place, a kinder place, a place of compassion. Environmentalist and activist David Suzuki offers to us these words of wisdom. The way we see the world shapes the way we treat it. If a mountain is a deity and not a pile of ore, if a river is one of the veins of the land, not potential irrigation water, if the forest is a sacred grove, not timber, if other species are biological kin, not resources, or if the planet is our mother, not an opportunity, then we will treat each other with greater respect. Thus, the challenge is to look at the world from a different perspective. Let us be gathered and grounded in this day, in this worship. Spirit of life and goodness, we gather. Here we are awakening to the mysteries that humble us, the sacred that embraces us, the hope that enfolds us, the beauty that fills us, the community that sustains us, the wisdom that transforms us, the love that deepens us. Here we give thanks for the richness of our living. Spirit of life and goodness, we gather. God, eternal and righteous one, creator of the heavens and the earth, we gather to give you thanks for breath that fills us with your life, for love that softens our hearts, for beauty revealed at every turn. Jesus, embracing and challenging one, always faithful and loving, we gather to give you thanks for the wind of wisdom transforming our lives, for peace calming the chaos of our souls, for hope restoring our faith, Spirit sustaining and enfolding one who calls us into relationship with the living God. We gather to give you thanks for caring when our hearts are aching, for friends supportive in times of need, for life lavish and overflowing. We come with hearts full of gratitude for all things good. We give you thanks. Though we could be resentful, we come to give thanks. Though we could be complaining, we come to offer appreciation. Though we could be upset about what we lack, we come in gratitude for what we have. So I invite us, in the silence of our hearts or naming out loud, what do you give thanks for this day? What do you come with that brings you gratitude and gratefulness? Tell us. The beauty of creation. Community, music, sunshine, a chance to do your work, other things. What do you give thanks for today? Let's hear it. We're a bit closer together today, aren't we? This day, each day, should be a time for us to pause and to give thanks, to name one thing, or as poet Harry Newcomer invites us, 3 things for which we give thanks. We come in gratitude for this moment, for each breath, for love, for courage, for compassion, for strength, for beauty, for laughter, for tears, for loved ones near and far, for food to share, for the gift of each and every day, for the sun and moon and stars in the sky, for the trees who have seen so much and still stand proud, stretching themselves to the sky, for the resilience of children, for the wisdom of elders, for actions that bless the world, for hard work that makes a difference, for generosity, for endurance, for joy, for hope. For all these things and so much more, we give thanks. Today, as we turn to our Hebrew scriptures, we turn to the book of Joel. Joel is one of those books that when you're asked to find Joel in the Hebrew scriptures, it's one that often gets stuck between a whole bunch of pages. Joel is near the end of our Hebrew scriptures and considered one of the minor prophets. But the book of Joel brings us an important message, especially on this day. The context for the book of Joel is one of hardship and insecurity for the people. It was a time of an invasion of locusts. There was drought. There was famine. The prophet proclaimed to the people that all this hardship was a result of the people's turning away from Yahweh. And so in the book of Joel, we hear the cries of the people. And we indeed also hear the cries of creation. The people joining in creation, in lamenting, in mourning, calling, crying out to their God. Joel is a prophet who continues to call the people back to God. In spite of their hardships, Joel invites them to trust in God. It's an invitation to the people, but indeed an invitation to all creation to not be afraid. Rejoice, Joel says. All creation will be restored. All people, all creation will be filled with the goodness, the abundance of God. Our reading for the day of Thanksgiving comes from Joel chapter 2, beginning at the 21st verse. Joel proclaims, "So tell the soil to celebrate, and tell the wild animals to stop being afraid. Grasslands are green again. Fruit trees and fig trees are loaded with fruit. Grapevines are covered with grapes. People of Zion, celebrate. Celebrate in honor of the Lord your God. For God is generous. God has sent the autumn and the spring rains in the proper seasons. Grain will cover your threshing places. Jars will overflow with wine and olive oil. I, speaks your God, I, the Lord your God, will make up for the losses caused by those swarms and swarms of locusts. My people, you will eat until you are satisfied, and then you will praise me for the wonderful things I have done. Never again will you be put to shame. Israel, you will know that I stand at your side. I am the Lord your God. There are no other gods. Never again will you be put to shame." Indeed, thanks be to God. And so we join with the words of the psalmist spoken anew in a psalm of thanksgiving. It's a modern adaptation of Psalm 126, and it is printed responsibly in your bulletin. Let us join in this psalm of thanksgiving. When God gave us liberty, it was a dream come true. Laughter filled our mouths, our tongues sang for joy. Others could not help but exclaim, God is at work in them. Certainly, God is at work in us, and we celebrate it. Like rivers after rain, flood us, loving one, with life. May we who have sown many tears now reap the songs of joy. May we who leave home weeping, carrying the seeds of sadness, return home laughing with a harvest of happiness. This morning, as we turn to our gospel wisdom, we turn to Matthew's gospel and we turn to the wisdom that comes to us from the writer of Matthew's gospel. It's part of Jesus' words in what we commonly refer to as the Sermon on the Mount. It's that passage in Matthew's gospel that contains the Beatitudes, blessed are, or the happy are, or the godlike are. As we join in Matthew's gospel, Jesus is continuing to teach about what it means to live a God-centered life. The ancient scripture words spoken to us anew this morning remind us to be open to the movement of God, the movement of the sacred each and every day. To be open to the gift that each day holds. And in that, to continually ponder, how are we to live our lives in God? This morning I'm reading from Eugene Peterson's translation of the scripture, The Message. And here Jesus is speaking. If you decide for God, living a life of God, it follows that you don't fuss about what's on the table at mealtimes, or whether the clothes in your closet are in fashion. There is far more to your life than food that you put in your stomach, more to your outer appearance than the clothes you hang on your body. Look at the birds, free and unfettered, not tied down to a job description, careless in the care of God. And you count far more to God than the birds. Has anyone, by fussing in front of the mirror, ever gotten taller by so much as an inch? All of this time and money wasted on fashion, do you think that it makes much of a difference? Instead of looking at the fashions, walk out into the fields. Look at the wildflowers. They never primp or shop, but have you ever seen color and design quite like it? The 10 best-dressed men and women in the country look shabby alongside the wildflowers. If God gives such attention to the appearance of the wildflowers, most of which are never seen, don't you think that God will attend to you? That God will take pride in you? That God will do God's best for you? What I'm trying to do here is to get you to relax, to not be so preoccupied with getting, so you can respond to God's giving. People who do not know God and the way God works fuss over these things. But you both know God and know how God works. So steep yourself in God, God reality, God initiative, God provisions. Don't worry. Don't worry about missing out. You will find all your everyday human concerns will be met. Give your entire attention to what God is doing right now. And don't get worked up about what may or may not happen tomorrow. God will help you deal with whatever hard things come up when the time comes. There's a story told about a woman who was out for a drive. Along her beautiful fall drive, perhaps a fall Sunday drive, she came across a field, a big field. A field filled with these beautiful, huge, orange pumpkins. Stunned by the beauty of it all, she pulled her car over, got out of her car, and began to walk through the field. As she admired all the pumpkins, in the field was another sight of majesty and beauty. An oak tree in full fall splendor. Overcome by all this bounty and beauty, she decided to do what the minister had said that morning and take a moment and pause and give thanks. And so she made herself a place under the oak tree and gave thanks for the day and for the gifts of creation and Creator. As she sat there, looking up and looking around, she carefully began to observe the huge orange pumpkins in the field and the tiny acorns in the tree above her. And she began to ponder a question. Why would God make it so that tiny acorns would be held on these big, huge branches, and the big, huge pumpkins were only held by these tiny little vines? God must have been confused in creation. God didn't plan this very well, she thought to herself. And as those questions filled her and the sun warmed her, she dozed off for just a few minutes. Until suddenly she was awakened by an acorn that hit her on the nose and woke her up. In that moment, she was even more thankful. Thankful that God didn't have great big pumpkins growing on trees. To be thankful. Thankful. Thanksgiving. A day when year after year, season after season, we are invited to intentionally pause and give thanks. To give thanks for the beauty, for the mystery, for the awesomeness of God's creation. To pause and give thanks for all that fills our hearts and lives with abundance, with gratefulness, with gratefulness. Did you know that the word thanks derives from the same Latin linguistic root as the word think? Thanks and think, interconnected. So to be thankful is also to be thoughtful. To be thoughtful for what is. To be thoughtful for this day. To be thoughtful for one another. To be thoughtful for our lives. To be thoughtful for our community. To be thoughtful for our world. Thankful, thoughtful, not for the stuff of our lives, but thankful and thoughtful for life. Not so much counting our blessings, as they say, but thankful and thoughtful for that which truly counts. That which is godly and goodly and sacred and gift. The gift, the giftedness of our lives. Thankful and thoughtful for love and friendship, community and faith, the browns and golds of the autumn tree. Thankful and thoughtful for the laughter of a child, even the whining of a child. Thankful and thoughtful for melody and music, for this day, for this place, for this time. Thankful and thoughtful for peace and freedom and security and life. Life with all of its sorrows and hardships and its joys and opportunities. Life with all of its struggles and possibilities. For many of us, this is a day, a time to be thankful and thoughtful for what we have. But really, when you look deeper, in many ways, that for which we are thankful and thoughtful is not really ours. It's not ours at all. One writer, Richard Fox, puts it this way: we give thanks for the sun and the dawn, which we did not create. We give thanks for the moon and the evening, which we did not make. We give thanks for food which we plant, which really we did not grow. We give thanks for friends and loved ones that we have not earned or could not buy. We give thanks for this gathered community, which welcomes us here as we are from wherever we come. For beauty, truth, and love, for all things that come to us. For they are gifts of being from sources beyond ourselves. Sources beyond ourselves. True thankfulness, true thoughtfulness moves us beyond ourselves. Thoughtfulness and thankfulness reminds us of who we are and whose we are and who we are called to be. How are we to live, not just this day, but each and every day? Do you remember that song by Bobby McFerrin? Don't worry, be happy. Remember that song? Big hit. Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to sing it note for note, don't worry.
Be happy.
It's been my earworm this week. The gospel, my gospel earworm, Bobby McFerrin. Don't worry, be happy. Because as the Message translation puts us, for those words from Jesus in Matthew's gospel, that's the message, the gospel message in some ways. Don't worry, be happy. I like the song, I like the sentiment, but I'm a worrywart. I worry. I worry, worry, worry. I worry even about my worries. That's how much I worry. So I like the sentiment of don't worry, be happy, but I struggle with it. I struggle with it on that note of being a worrier, but I struggle with it given the reality of my life, the reality of so many lives. We have worries. And there are many who worry. Not those who, like my worries often, that are worrying about things that are ultimately pretty insignificant, but rather those worries about the significant stuff of life. Those significant life worries. Those who worry about how they'll feed their children, or how to pay the bills that the job is no longer there, or how to survive that next hurricane or tsunami. Those who worry about their day-to-day mental health survival. Those whose worry is carved out by loneliness or suffering or grief and fear and isolation and ongoing pandemic flux. Those who know too well that bad things happen again and again to good people. Those who worry because being human is hard. So let me say that as I read that gospel message, I don't think that Jesus is offering wisdom that was trying to dismiss those true worries of life. He knew the worries and realities of his day. He connected to people who knew those worries and realities of the day. He spoke to those realities with an enfolding love and compassion. But perhaps in these verses, what he's trying to do is invite us, in the face of life's paradox, in the face of the joys and struggles, in the face of the worries and the celebrations, just to pause and to be thoughtful and thankful as we put life's worries, especially those insignificant worries, into perspective so that they don't become life-consuming, life-draining, life-directing. To be thoughtful about the significant worries so that we are moved beyond ourselves, so that we are moved beyond that petty occupation of our heart and mind. A thinkful and thoughtful refocusing, so to speak. For it is so true that the attitude from which we live our life will form our life and our living. Do we look at that glass of life as half full or half empty? Do we think about all the work we have left to do? Or do we think about what we've accomplished? Do we refrain from giving of our time, our energy, our resources, from giving of ourselves, worrying that there won't be anything left for us when we need it? Or do we think about our abundance and give out of that abundance? How much of our energy gets focused on getting? How much on giving? Are our lives rooted in the worry, in the if only? Or are our lives rooted in abundance and gratitude, trust and gratefulness? Is God at the center of our beings, or is God somewhere out there disconnected from our lives, our living? The attitude of faith is an attitude rooted in thankfulness and thoughtfulness. And it's not that life's worries or life's struggles will be automatically erased, but a change in focus, perhaps, enables us to see what really matters. And it enables us to see who really matters. And it enables us to respond in love and care and compassion and kindness and thoughtfulness and thankfulness. In the words from Matthew's Gospel, steep your life in God, in God's reality, in God's initiative, in God's provisions. Or, as the hymn writer expresses it, thankful and thoughtful for the wonders that astound us. For the wonders that astound us. And, most of all, that love has found us. Another story. A teacher asking their pupils about the 7 wonders of the world. Do you know what the 7 wonders are? She asked the students. Few students named some of those wonders. Then one student put up their hand and said, I know what the 7 wonders of the world are. The 7 wonders are to touch, to taste, to see, to hear, to laugh, to share, to love. For the wonders that astound us. Most of all, that love has found us. Thanks be to God. Thank you. 2 words, sometimes written as one, that mean and say so much. Thank you for the gift of you. Thank you for gifts of music and melody. Thank you for the gifts of smiles in your eyes. Thank you for all that you do that makes a difference in our world and in our community. Thank you for your laughter, for your tears, for your good hearts. Thank you. We give thanks for so many gifts that enrich us. We are called to be a blessing, and we live out that call in so many ways, within these walls and, more importantly, beyond these walls. For gifts offered this day and gifts offered each and every day, we do give thanks. I invite you to open your ears and hearts to some words to ponder. They were words I came across this week, and they spoke to me, and I hope they might speak to you. They come from a blog writer, June Friesen, and her blog, Celebrating Life with Gratitude. She writes, "Life is a gift from the beginning. That first breath, that first cry, as the heart beats and breath fills the lungs. Life begins with a pulsating heart that courses blood through the body, nourishing the cells. Life continues on as nourishment fills the body with energy and growth. Life grows into fulfillment day by day, year by year, as one learns to live and embrace the moment at hand, one by one. Gratitude is a gift that one learns when embracing a thankful spirit. A thank you for a meal or a treat. A thank you for a flower or a gift. A thank you for a walk in the rain. A thank you for the fall of a snowflake on one's tongue. A thank you for the crunch of a cracker or chip. A thank you for a warm fire on a chilly day. A thank you for the breeze on a warm, warm day. A thank you for a hug as one heaves a heavy sigh. I thank you for. So, in a world where we take all good things for granted until they are gone or nearly gone, how does one carry a spirit of gratefulness within and without? It comes with a change of heart, or what I call an attitude adjustment. When it's extremely hot outside, I'm grateful for a home with air conditioning and fans. When it's raining outside, I'm grateful for the new and continued growth it will bring. When I sit down to eat, I'm thankful for my sense of smell and of taste. When I miss my family who is far away, I'm thankful for the telephone and letters and parcels. When I have to say forever goodbye to someone dear, I may weep, but I choose to embrace the friendship and memories we share. Today, I choose to be grateful for each of you, who also chooses to be grateful. Together, we can not only celebrate, but we can invite others on this wonderful journey. You and I and they will all become more grateful, especially grateful for each other. Grateful for you, grateful for this time, grateful for this presence, grateful for sun and moon, for food and friends, grateful for music and melody, grateful for this time, grateful for this place, grateful for this ministry, grateful for all that is and all that might be, grateful for opportunities and struggles, for challenges and celebrations. May we go into this day with a gratefulness for one another, for our community, for our world, for life, for love. We are blessed, and we are called to be a blessing in a world that truly, truly needs us. Thanks be to God.
Guide us in the days ahead.